Welcome, guys, to this video of how not to forget. And the Ebbinghaus Forgetting Curve, and what's the relationship with the Ebbinghaus Forgetting Curve with how not to forget. So let's begin. Now, why are you here? Because obviously you are forgetting shit like me, and you just need a quick fix. The people who are coming out here, you guys might be students who are preparing for their exams, or you might be beginner coders like me, who are trying to learn syntaxes and nuances of different programming languages in order to make cool stuff or to transition into new careers. Or you also might be a busy professional like a doctor or an engineer, a lawyer trying to expand and keep up to date with new things that are coming in your field. You might also be an actor who's preparing for a play and has to learn all these big lines. Or you might be a gambler or a card counter who has to keep all this information in his head to, beat his opponents and to win big. So you guys can be all kinds of active learners. You can also be language learners, who are trying to learn a different language, and maybe you're learning some chunks of it, but as you move forward, you're forgetting all this information, and your progress is just getting hampered. So why you're really here is you're actually here to improve your learning and your memory retention, so that you guys can have a massive competitive edge in your field, and of course over other people as well, because first ranks are sexy and yeah, we just want to be better at what we do, right? And I'm promising you, I'm actually promising you right now that, and assuring you that after you know this whole act of forgetting and retention, you will have a rare competitive advantage and will blow your competition out of the water. So let's go. So in order to understand how not to forget things, first we have to understand how do we forget things. And this is explained by the Ebbinghaus Forgetting Curve. Now, who was Hermann Ebbinghaus? Hermann Ebbinghaus was a pioneering German psychologist known for his groundbreaking research on memory, particularly his discovery of the forgetting curve and the spacing effect. Now, let me explain you how this works. So you forget information very quickly when you first learn something, but the information loss sort of tapers off as you start arresting the forgetting. Whatever you're studying at the first, you must retain it. And retention is basically the ability to keep or hold on to something, such as information or memories. And to retain information effectively for a long time, you must arrest the forgetting curve. So out here, as you can see from this graph, this is the memory retention on the vertical line, and this is the time which is passed. So whenever you start learning something at the start, like suppose you're learning a coding lesson or maybe a foreign language, you start to forget as time passes by. So the whole point or the whole goal which should be on your mind is to start arresting the forgetting. So out here, as the time passes and as you start to forget, you must review or sort of quiz yourself to retain the information back to 100%. Then again, as you start forgetting, which is going to be slower this time, you must again do a review or a lesson and start and retain the information back to 100%. And you have to keep doing this and compounding it so that the forgetting becomes slower. So how do you actually arrest the forgetting curve is through review and retrieval practice. So again, I'm going to give you this example again, that after your first learning, there is no retention. We start forgetting what we learn on our first lecture or at the first go. Now it's time to arrest the forgetting. So what we are going to do out here is we are going to do a micro learning. Maybe 2 days later, we are going to review whatever we learned on our first lesson, maybe for 3 to 5 minutes, and get back that information back to 100%. We have to retain that information back to 100%. And in turn, we have to taper the forgetting curve. So on the second review, maybe we'll do it 10 days later. And, after that, the retention goes up again 100%, but this time, again, your forgetting curve is sort of slowing down. The third review will be after 4 to 5 weeks. And again, the retention goes back to 100%. And in turn, we are tapering the forgetting curve. The forgetting is going to slow down more and more as you keep continuing to do this. So what we're basically doing is we are interrupting the forgetting shortly after learning the information. By reviewing next day, you will forget more slowly, and each subsequent review causes you to forget even more slowly. What you're doing is you're flattening the learning curve. So let me just also mention some of the use cases, how people can use this. It's again, as I mentioned earlier, it's for students who are studying for exams, who want to fare well, and or maybe for the competitive students who want to get their first ranks. Also for coders like me who are trying to learn these languages, because coding is quite difficult. You're learning the fundamentals and you're building over that knowledge. But most times, because the language is sort of complex, you tend to forget the basics of it. And whenever you're trying to move and program something bigger, you you have to repeat those lessons again. Or the thing which actually happened with me was I left programming for 6 months and I literally forgot everything. I had to start again, the whole thing for Python, which is how to print my name. So yeah, this really helps me. Again, this can be for professionals like doctors, engineers, lawyers, who are trying to keep up to date with their craft, and also whatever the new information is coming, they're trying to sort of like build over that as well. Also for actors who are trying to learn these massive lines. And again, as I said, it's for all sorts of active learners. Remember, whenever you study, you need to manage two things, which is information and time. Think of it in this way, that as a child, first you had to study the letters before you could make words. Then you had to retain all that information of the words to make pretty sentences. Then you had to retain all the information of the sentences to speak fluently and express effectively. In my case, it's just a romantic expression. So we're building basically layers of learning, and we're building layers of fundamentals as well. So we can build it like a pyramid. We have to build that base layer first in order for us to move forward. So now I have given you the secret sauce to stop forgetting things. I hope this whole theory of forgetting curve helps you. How you are going to use it is up to you. But there are softwares for spaced repetition, which I'm just going to show you one of them, which is called Anki. What you do out here is basically you creating decks, and in those decks you're creating flashcards. And what is happening out here is after some time, the software will automatically remind you when you have to sort of do your next review or your next retrieval. And this way, what the software is actually doing is it is arresting your forgetting according to the forgetting curve and making you relearn the lessons which you've done, in turn arresting your forgetting. So I hope this software helps. You guys can go check this out. And if you guys want to know how to operate this software and want a detailed video on it, please leave your comments and I will definitely do the needful. So thank you guys, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.